Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to rate all the books I've read so far this year. So far I've read 14 books this year and my goal is 30, so I'm about on track for halfway of the year. And if you don't know, I like to read romance and poetry and mental health and feminist books, so I have a mix of nonfiction and fiction, but it is mostly fiction. Anyways, I hope you guys stick around to see what my ratings are, but let's get into this. So my first logged book of the year was The Mistake by Elle Kennedy, and this is the second part in the series that follows Logan and Grace, and I am an Elle Kennedy slut. I love that woman. I love their writing, and this book for me, although I thoroughly enjoy all of Elle Kennedy's books, this book for me was about a 3.5. It just wasn't my favorite, but I still enjoyed reading it. And then the next book I read this year was a nonfiction book, and to be honest, I was reading this book for a long time. It took me a long time to get through, and this is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. When I finished the book, though, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and I took a lot away from the book, and I loved highlighting the book and annotating the book. I definitely recommend reading this still, and it's just a very good, coming of age story. That's mostly what I loved about it. And I loved that there was a mix of longer chapters and shorter chapters. I just thoroughly enjoyed reading this book, so I did end up rating it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I went on a vacation to Calgary in January, and I took this book with me, and this is my first 5-star of the year, and that would be The Love Hypothesis. This book blew up on TikTok, and I just knew I had to pick it up. I didn't expect to love it as much as I loved it, though, because I had never read anything with the academia trope before, but I loved it. I really, really loved this book, and it got a 5 stars for me. I loved the chemistry between Adam and Olive, and I don't know, it definitely lived up to the TikTok hype for me. Next, I read another nonfiction book, and this was more of a memoir by Jen Winston, and it is titled Greedy. I believe Notes from a Bisexual Who Wants Too Much, and I really enjoyed reading this LGBTQ read. That is a sort of rabbit hole of books that I do love to read, but sometimes it is a bit hard to find the perfect one or something I'm very interested in. But I did enjoy reading this book. For me, it felt a bit short. I had saw someone that I follow on Instagram write this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I thought maybe it'd do the same for me. I did end up just rating this book a 3 stars, which it was still good. I finished the book. I don't think it took me too long. I read a lot of this book in the bath. It was a really relaxing read, but I just don't find myself thinking back about the book that often. For me, I know a book is so good when it pops into my mind a lot, and for me this book just hasn't really done that since I finished it this new year. Hopping right back into romance, I read The Spanish Love Deception. I'd seen this on my For You page, and it just seemed right up my alley, so I picked it up, and I really enjoyed reading this book, although I did sort of, towards the end, find myself just wanting to be done the book. But I did end up rating this book 4 stars out of 5 because I really enjoyed the story. I always love a good romance. I loved the one bed trope. Yeah, I really enjoyed The Spanish Love Deception. And then next, another loved book of TikTok, I think the TikTok book, It Ends With Us by Miss Colleen Hoover. I tried to read this book before, but I was in a bit of a slump, so I wasn't able to. But when I gave it the fair chance, I really was able to fall in love with this book, and I rated it 5 stars. Much like a lot of other people, I really enjoyed the story, and I can't wait for It Starts With Us in the fall, following more of Lily and Atlas. I also did a reading vlog for It Ends With Us, so if you want to see more of my thoughts, that'll be in the description of this video. I think it's a few months back, but you can see all the emotions I went through reading the book. And much like for me, after reading a 5-star book, sometimes I get into a bit of a slump. So I had to go for an author that I know never misses for me, and I just enjoy their books a lot, which is Elle Kennedy. And so I decided to continue reading the Off-Campus series. So I was on book number 3, Dean's book, and it is called The Score. And I liked the bit of, not forbidden romance, but like Dean and Allie were sort of hiding their relationship. Everyone was worried about them getting together. So this book for me got 4 stars because I did really enjoy reading it, and I just knew Elle Kennedy could do that for me. And then actually I went on a bit of an Elle Kennedy spree at this point, so if you're not a huge fan of Elle Kennedy, maybe just skip ahead a few minutes because I went on a spree. I decided I had to read The Ghoul next, which is Tuck's book, and Tucker and Sabrina stole my heart. If you follow me on TikTok, you've probably seen me rave about Tucker and Sabrina before. I love them. They're underrated. Tucker is underrated. The Ghoul for me got 5 stars. I love that book. I think it's probably one of my favorite reads of the year so far. I went on to start the Briar You series by Elle Kennedy. I had a bit of a hard time getting through The Chase, so I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I actually enjoyed the second book in Briar You the most. I've only read the 3, but I enjoyed it the most, so I gave The Risk 3.5 stars. Again, how they like weren't supposed to be together and they were sort of hiding it. I did like that. The third book in Briar You, I ended up giving 3 stars as well. So the Briar You series for me is definitely not as good as Off Campus, but I'm definitely still going to finish Briar You, and maybe the 4th book will surprise me just like Off Campus did. And because I've been reading so much romance this year, I've sort of been slacking on the poetry. But I did pick up a poetry book maybe a month or 2 ago, and it's called This Is for the Women Who Don't Give a Fuck. And that's just what I want to be in life. I just want to be a woman that does not give 2 fucks. And this book, so good. 5 stars. I couldn't recommend it more. I would definitely check trigger warnings for this book, but I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It definitely was like a feminist poetry read, which I love. The last 2 books that I have to share with you guys I've actually read within the last few weeks. And the first one is It Happened One Summer. Again, TikTok raves. And I had it for a little bit and I just wasn't able to pick it up, but I decided I needed to give it a fair shot. So I actually ended up listening to the audiobook on YouTube as well as reading along and highlighting, and I enjoyed the book, but for me, I just couldn't relate to Piper. I found she was a bit hard to relate to. So for me, that made the book fall a bit to a 3.5. I did enjoy their story, and I think I'll be interested in reading Hook, Line, and Sinker about Fox and Hannah, I think her name is. I think I'll enjoy that one more, so I'll have to give it a shot, but It Happened One Summer got 3.5 for me. And then I actually just finished this book yesterday, which is Every Summer After, TikTok's newest rave of the summer. And for me, this was a 5 star. It reminded me so much of People We Meet on Vacation, which I love. I really enjoyed reading the now, and then it like skips back like 17 years ago, leading up to where they are at now in their relationship. And I just loved seeing that like tension build and grow, and I just loved them. It just reminded me too much of People We Meet on Vacation, and it got a 5 stars from me. Also, it's by a Canadian author, and it had a lot of Canadian and Ontario references, and I just love that. It's not very common that you get a book that you can relate so heavily to. So those are all the books I read this year, and I hope you enjoyed. This is what I've rated them. If these are your favorite books, I appreciate that. Not everyone has the same taste. Maybe you won't love what I love, but I'm excited to keep reading and definitely read some summer reads, and I'll do some more videos. Also on my TikTok, I bought some new books and shared those if you want to check that out. Anyways, I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.